Shalom, this is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Sweet Good Torah. So we're going to do Parsha Beshalach. What an exciting Parsha. So we're going to learn the secret. What is the secret of the healing at the Bitter Waters, the healing at Marah? So it's incredible. So first we see the miraculous. We see the 10 plagues, the Eser Makos, or Mitzrayim, on Egypt. And the Jewish people come out of great wealth. They come out with silver and gold and jewels and all kinds of wealth they got from the Egyptians. They asked before they left. Because Hashem promised us that we would come out with great wealth, just like Abraham Avinu came out of Egypt with great wealth. We as a nation came out with great wealth. And then we came to the Yam Suf, the Red Sea. We saw the miraculous, the splitting, the Kriyas Yam Suf. We saw the miraculous splitting of the Red Sea. The Midrash even, there's Midrash even say it's split into 12 different rows. So each Shevet, each of the Shvatim, each of the tribes could go in their own row. And all kinds of miracles we saw at the Yam Suf, where people could reach into the water and it would be fresh water for them to drink. And they saw all kinds of miraculous, like fruit trees growing, so if they were hungry when they're crossing, they could eat. The Midrash even just wondrous. And then the punishments on the Egyptians were magnified. It says in the Haggadah, like, right, it was, they were punished like 200 times greater than the 10 plagues, or 250 times greater than 10 plagues. But the Kriyas Yam Suf was one of the most, wondrous revelations of Hashem. And it said, like, even like the simple maidservant at the Kriyas Yam Suf, at the splitting of the Red Sea, she had a greater vision of Hashem and Nevuah and prophecy than Yechezkel ben Buzi, who, in Ezekiel, he had the vision of the Merkava, the vision of the chariot of Hashem's throne room. So he had one of the highest visions of Nevuah, and then even a simple maidservant looking, at the Kriyas Yam Suf, saw this revelation of Hashem in the world. Then we go into the Midbar Shore, the desert of vision. We see the vision of the three temples, the three Beis HaMikdash that will be built throughout all of human history. Two already have been destroyed, and Bezrat Hashem will see the miraculous building of the third Beis HaMikdash in the future with the coming of Mashiach. And then we'll pick it up in the Parsha, and we'll get to Marah. We get to the waters of bitterness. So, Vayasa Moshe es Yisrael miyam Suf, and then Moshe caused everyone to journey, away from the Red Sea. And Rashi says it was interesting that the Egyptians had decorated all their horses with gold and silver and precious jewels. So the Jews they kept washing up on the beach, and the Jews were collecting them. Moshe like, it's time to go. Vayetzu el midbar shor, and to get them to leave, Hashem over the desert of vision. It's called the desert of vision, the desert of the Midbar Shore. He showed them visions of the Beis HaMikdash. And this awakened their heart, still in their heart, this great ruchnius, this vision of this house of Hashem that would be built in Yerushalayim and Jerusalem. And that stirred them to move on. And then, Vayelchu shaloshes yamim b'midbar v'lo matzu mayim. And they went for 3 days in the wilderness, in the desert, and they couldn't find water. So it's interesting. So mayim, water, is compared to Torah. And the Nevi'im instituted, and maybe Moshe was the first, but it was instituted that we would never go 3 days without hearing a public reading of the Torah. And so in Shul, on Monday we read the Torah, on Thursday we read the Torah, and on Shabbos we read Torah both after between Shachris and Musaf, and then we read it again for the next week. We start again the next week during Mincha. So we never go 3 days without, just as a person can't live 3 days without water, a Jewish person, his neshama, his soul, her soul, cannot go 3 days without hearing the words of the Torah. So then, Vayavo Marasa, and they came to Marah. And Marah means bitterness. They came to this place of bitterness. V'lo yachlu lishtos mayim mimara. And they couldn't drink the water of Marah, ki marimhim, because they were bitter. So they're in this desert. They had no water for 3 days. They're so thirsty. They're parched. They're in the desert. They're scared, and they come to this place Marah, and the water's bitter, and they can't drink it. So al kain kara shema Marah, and therefore they named the place Marah. They called it bitterness. So vayilonu ha'am al Moshe, and the people complained against Moshe. And the Zohar teaches us that anytime the Torah says ha'am, it's referring to the Erev Rav. It's referring to the mixture of the nations that came out with Eretz Yisrael after the 10 plagues in Egypt. When the people living in Egypt, it can either refer to the different degrees of the levels of the sorcerers there, and they came out to join us, or it can also refer to the like the United Nations. Like there was a mixture of nations that were living in this great empire. Egypt was the center of the Egyptian empire. So there's a lot of people from many nations living there, and they came out because when they saw Hashem bring these plagues and elevate the Jewish people, they wanted to attach themselves to the Jewish people. So Ha'am, the Erev Rav, they began to complain. And it's okay, the Erev Rav starts these things, but the problem is we're punished because we listen to them. And the goal is not to listen to the Erev Rav. So, Vayilonu Ha'am al Moshe, and the people complained against Moshe. Lamor, they said, Ma nishta, what should we drink? So Vayitzach el Hashem. Now this is very fascinating. It says, he cried out to Hashem. We're going to assume this is Moshe here, but it really should be the people should be crying out to Hashem. The people should be spilling out their hearts in prayer to Hashem. We're thirsty. For 3 days in the desert, we have nothing to drink, nothing to give our wives or our children to drink. Everyone should be praying to Hashem, and this is the problem here. It's only Vayitzach, only Moshe, only one man. He cries out to Hashem. Vayorehu Hashem eitz, and then Hashem shows him a tree. Vayash lech el hamayim. Then he threw the wood from this tree into the water. Vayim teku hamayim, and it sweetened the water. Sham sam lo choku mishpat v'sham nisahu. And there he established for the nation a chok, one of the mystical laws. Chachamim say it's kivud avim, honor your mother and your father. There's other people that say it's the paraduma, the red cow. But most people, I think the Gemara and the Midrash, most of them say it was kivud avim. And mishpat, the civil laws. So I think they were taught the laws of Shabbos, and they were taught the laws of like monetary damage. If like someone steals something or hurts some property of someone else, like how to pay them back. So this keeps shalom. But it's interesting. It's a larger discussion of like, right, how they're learning Torah before Matan Torah. Before we receive the Torah as a nation, there's still a Torah in the world. Torah was created 26 generations, 2,000 years before Maisa Bereshis, before Hashem creates everything. The Torah is like the blueprint for everything. And we'll go into a little of this in a bit. And he tested them. So Moshe, right, it's the Mayim. It's no good to go 3 days without water. And Mayim means Torah. And we'll talk about the eights, what the tree is. So then Hashem says, it says, Vayomer, or he says, it doesn't say who. It says, Vayomer, we assume it's Moshe again. It says, Im shamoa tishma l'kol Hashem elokecha. If you will listen well to the voice, to the kol Hashem, the voice of Hashem, your God, v'hayashar beinav, and you will do what is just in his eyes, ta'aseh, and you will do what is just in his eyes, V'ha'azanta lemitzvosav, and you will listen to his mitzvos, his commandments. V'shamarta kol chukav, and you will guard all his chuk, all the mitzvos that are chukim. Kol hamachla asher samti b'mitzrayim lo asim alecha, and all the illness that I put in Egypt, that I put upon Egypt, I will not put upon you. Ki ani Hashem rofecha, because I am Hashem, your healer. So what does all this mean? And what was the tree? And what's the tree that Moshe throws into this bitter water, that Moses throws in the bitter water and makes it sweet? And what does all this mean? So the tree, Hashem shows, and only Moshe, it's interesting, and it doesn't even say who. It's really fascinating. It just says he. He cried out. He cried out to Hashem. Not the whole people cried out. Not all the Jewish people cried out to Hashem for water, for help from Hashem. Only he. Only Moshe. And then Hashem shows him, the one who cries out, the one who's attaching himself to Hashem. Hashem shows him the vision of the Eitz HaChaim, the tree of life. And the Torah, Torah Eitz Chaim Chi. The Torah is the tree of life. And that's why when we take out the Torah, on Shabbos we sing the song, Eitz Chaim. We sing that Torah is the Eitz Chaim. So what is the secret? And what does this mean? Hashem is your healer. And if you listen to Hashem, and why is Moshe giving us these mitzvos? And the answer is this, that there's two paths in this world. And Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve, they ate from the Eitz Das Tov, Eitz Das Tov Ra, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And this is in some ways the world we're basically living in right now. We live in the world of science. In science, people want knowledge. They want, they use their intelligence to get knowledge. But the knowledge can be used for good or evil. So you can get the knowledge of how to split the atom. You can use it for good. You can build a nuclear reactor that can bring electricity to help people do things useful in their life. Or you can use it for bad and kill millions. You can build an atomic weapon and destroy millions of people with horrible devastation. And that knowledge can be used for good and evil. But the Eitz Chaim, the tree of life, which is the Torah, it's only good. It only leads to life. Following the mitzvos, and it's the opposite of Mitzrayim, the opposite of what Egypt was doing. But listening to the Torah, learning the Torah, doing the mitzvos, that attaches us to the Eitz Chaim, that attaches us to the tree of life, and that can turn the bitter waters into sweet waters. And that lets us know that we are attached to this infinite being, Hashem. The Torah attaches us, the mitzvahs attach us closer and closer to Hashem, and then we can receive the bracha, the blessing from Hashem, the chiyus, the life force from Hashem, the refuah, the healing that comes from Hashem, and then the disease goes away. And then all the sickness, and eventually even death itself. Because when we attach fully to the tree of life, when Mashiach leads us and teaches us how to reattach ourselves, to relearn the Torah better, to do the mitzvahs better, to become Hashem's people closer like we used to be in this miraculous time when we left Egypt, then Ani Hashem Rofecha. Hashem is our healer, and Moshe was showing us, Hashem showed Moshe the tree of life, and then Moshe understood, and that the learning the Torah and doing the mitzvahs, that attaches the tree of life, and that's why Chazal, that's why our Chachamim, they instituted for us that we will listen to the Torah every Monday, every Thursday, every Shabbos. We're not going to go 3 days without it, and this starts to help us heal, because the Eitz Das Tov Ra, the knowledge of good and evil, has limits. I mean, personally, I've had almost 10 years now, I've had this chronic fatigue syndrome. I've been to doctors I never even heard, kinds of doctors I never even heard about before I had this. Been to every kind of doctor, taken almost every kind of, all kinds of medicines and supplements and vitamins and all this stuff, and nothing worked. And the only thing that's really helped me is learning Torah and simcha, and attaching myself to Hashem and being happy and throwing away the bitterness. Some of the Mefarshim say that Moshe took a bitter stick, a bitter piece of wood, and threw it in the bitter water, and it became sweet. I think one thing from healing and disease, you got to throw away sometimes that bitterness, that anger that we have. As we go through life, sometimes we build up this anger and this bitterness, and we don't see the sweetness of life. We don't need to see. The Torah helps us see the sweetness, helps us see the tree of life, helps us see that the world is this beautiful place, miraculous, wondrous place created by Hashem, all for us, all to give us good, all to give us blessing and bracha. And sometimes we have to throw away the bitterness. And learning the sweet words of the Torah and doing the mitzvahs, it sweetens the waters and helps us have that healing. Then we know, Ani Hashem Rofecha, I am Hashem, your healer. And then we can get that sweet water from Marah. Even in the place called bitterness, we can drink the sweet water, the mayim of the Torah. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you back again soon on Sweet Good Torah.